Hello, and welcome back to Pacific Northwest Gothic, a lyrical weird fiction podcast inspired by the Pacific Northwest. I'm your host, L.C. Clay, and I've been waiting for you. Though, I admit, it has been some time, stranger, since my door was last open. Thank you for all your patience. Please be advised, today's installment explores themes and imagery of natural disasters and death. As always, please take care, dear listener. But since it seems you have the time, I hope you'll come sit with me and a friend of mine in the dark for a little while. Hello? Didn't you read the sign? Well, then, may I ask what you are here for? Oh, the new kid, as they say. Yes. Come in and welcome. I've heard so much and held, well, in all fairness, about half of what that shopkeep says of you over the telephone. My mind and memory are not what they used to be, I'm afraid. But I'm sure they were all good things, don't you worry. Yes, please, set your boots by the door, join me fireside, and sidle up beside my tea tray. Warm yourself by my old wood stove so we can watch, awaiting puffs and plumes of vapor from the kettle, listening for the whine of a whistle, soft and sour in its sorrowful song. That it should harmonize so well with these creaking floors and drafts wafting through the halls is a wonder. Wood swells like a nightmare each winter here, you know. Rain and rot, crawling things bred in still water, moisture, mold, and mildew. So you see, my mouth, like my mind, ambles. You came here for a story, yes? A would-be commuter, with a story within a story. And they sent you to me. I see. It seems you seek a truth, dear stranger, often considered too wide for reasoned minds to cross. The tale of the Boatman is one long unheard, yet not untold in all these years. How can I trust that you would be any different? How can I trust that the ears in your head, the thoughts in your mind, will consider the context and consequence of a story so grand, so affixed, and with so many facets as this one? But I must say, it is just so wonderful to feel the gaze of a face so fresh as yours, and I hate to disturb you with such subject. But a test is a test, and it must be set and taken to know what dose will make a medicine or a poison. There the whistle blows. Tell me, how do you take your tea in this cold? Now this test shall be set to ascertain the flexibility of your mind as it pertains to our stories here. For I must know, stranger, how might you interpret events so far-fetched that the truth of them might just slip through your fingers? Can you understand the shape, the bearing of my nature? We shall see. In these small and yet ever so consequential movements of the human life I lost. It is a tale I live in telling, a truth I share dispelling rumor and supposition so rarely. For I am so bound within my circumstances. Let me see. Well, it had been a dry summer. Sweltering, but with such a sunny disposition, we drank deeply, soaked in the rays. To tell it true, it struck us in a daze, so when the weather turned and fell in storms and torrents of a gathering haze, grinding lightning into rumbles tumbling out in place of daylight, few were spared and none prepared. My, how the water stood then, taller than any local bridge or bond span. But nature had worked our clay soil to its will, malleable in the hands of such force-filled wills as those gods of nature, forming hills and mountains over centuries, baking them with heat only to decide their work was unsalvageable. Dried, unbound, the soil just slipped, fell away. Creation flushed from its former resting place by all that sun and rain. This house once had 4 neighbors, you know, all in a row, to the south. Dots in a line outside my front door. A landslide, most called it. But I was right there, in my chair, by the window, watching, preparing to wait out the storm with a candle and a curiosity, when I heard a knock so soft traveling about the walls of the house. Oh, I remember the days when the bones of this place stayed quiet, hushed and shy, and we had held our solitude separate and secluded, desolate, determined even. But that day came a knocking on our bones, slowly synchronizing as we tasted the elements, coppery ozone snapping, petrichor whispering on the wind as the front door slammed open. I felt my stomach drop, and still I cannot say whether weather wrought such havoc on my body or the change within my inner sanctuary stood better to blame. Still I stood a-flustered. Still I lurched, and thus my house of bones lurched with me, and in the doorway I watched the earth open up to swallow my 4 neighbors, Smell the stench of earth drenched with rain and blood, of broken wood and plaster, of lives rent apart wafting up. And from that pit arose a voice above terrible cries, a language that my new-found bones told me had never touched a human tongue. And still I stood in the mouth of my home with my changed heart in my throat. Together, my home and I, we popped and creaked in unison, so much higher above land or lot than ever the foundations had been. Thus, together, we two beings of loneliness stood and climbed away from the ledge you see out there today. Our limbs of flesh and plaster, of wood and bone, of muscled piping and insulation, screeched as we moved anew and abreast of one another until we settled once again into a different, solid soil. And in the absence of our neighbors, I learned that a house is far from hollow. The absence did as it is known to do. It laid a loneliness into our lumber, embedded grief into our nails that were not solely my own, for now I am filled with these, our foreign feelings. I cannot tell you truly if this house came with a blessing or a curse, a binding or a liberation. You see, I cannot leave this otherworldly domicile. The knitting of my life with its construction now too tight and too sound. But I have remained the same as I was that day some 50 years ago, and counting. I can pass through whatever grass or garden I would grow near enough to the heart of my ancient home of secrets come alive, of my new-found life embodied, but beyond what acreage the first contracted property portrayed. I cannot breathe. Perhaps the house, now knit with my intent, could cross mountains, rivers, valleys, or oceans, but tell me this. What profane abomination would I set upon the world with such unworldly movements? What powers command my newly lived liminality, my unnatural lives and limbs now pooled between two shells? Of course, you have no answer. None who hear it ever do. It is just so that I sit within myself and watch over the haunting pit beyond, awaiting the earth's grim and growing hunger. So, what do you think? Is my truth too hard to swallow? Are you not left agape? Does your mind not grasp my many meanings? Whatever questions you may have, this is all I will answer. This is my ancestral home. It was left to me by my father and his father before him. A rarity for someone like me on this side of the river, as it was for Mr. Sampson, though his nieces and nephews sold the place. Not everyone can enter and endure the hazards of these hills. Yes, I think you might be able to hear it. Here at my hearth. The tale of the boatman. You just might. Oh, but your tea's gone cold now. Ah, yes, I see. Daylight wanes and you must go. What a shame. We were only just getting settled. However short-lived, it was a pleasure to have you visiting my house and I out here in the gloom, so far from the bus and with the pit so near. But please come again, dear guest. We do get ever so lonely out here. Thank you for listening, dear stranger. This has been Pacific Northwest Gothic, back again after a long hiatus. Thank you for all your patience over the break. My health has improved, and the time I took to rest and enjoy myself over the winter holidays really helped so much. And because of it, I am back with more episodes for PNWG, with new concepts and settings and characters, as well as a slowly growing list of main cast members. But we are finally at a point where I am no longer recording to order, if you will, making every episode during the week before it comes out. Every week. Over and over. That was honestly wild, and I don't know how I found the stamina for it. While it was necessary as I developed more recording and editing skills and got some momentum going just to start the podcast, it was not sustainable long term, and part of the reason I extended my break was so that I could get ahead on recording. So I am actually recording this a few weeks in the past right now from my closet blanket fort thing. So, you know, some things haven't changed much. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. If you were confused but hopefully intrigued by this episode, I would recommend going back and listening to the first 7 episodes from the beginning. Some things will make a little more sense. For those of you who've stuck around since the early days, welcome back and thank you. You've made all my hard work all the more worthwhile. And now that I'm back, I will once again be uploading a new episode on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on Spotify, YouTube, and a little later than that on Substack. While I was hoping to do some more work to get some more features up, it just didn't happen. So, stay tuned after each episode on here or over on Instagram, because those changes are still on the horizon. So, if you'd like to get, semi-regular updates about what's happening with PNWG, you can find us on Instagram at Pacific NW Gothic. And finally, if you'd like to support me and the work that I do, like, follow, subscribe, share links to the episode, and, though I don't have much up on it yet, you can follow the link in the description to Pacific Northwest Gothic's Linktree, and through that, to our Patreon. I'm your host, Elsie Clay, hoping to sit with you in the dark again next week.